often saying that, I'm probably not going to be able to reflect back as many as some of you can. There may be an age gap there. I'm certainly not the youngest person in the family, but I was the baby. Before I sort of reflect on my parents and my experiences in this town, my late friend, I won't a whole lot about Franklin, but there are some things that I can relate to. As far as the history of Franklinton, I had a brother, half brother, on my mother's side. They don't use those terms now, half and whole. He was on my mother's side. He should have been a part of the history in Franklinton, pre-modern than Raleigh. He was one of the greatest musicians in North Carolina. His name was Nathaniel Hicks. They called him Little Dick. Brother Jenkins can relate to that. He played bass, drum, and lead. But he played all of them on an acoustic guitar at the same time. He was a perfectionist for a musician. The only way I got into music, he locked me in the room at my house. He was one of the worst teachers in the world. I cried sometimes. Somebody in the family's going to play some music other than me. Why can't it be Dan? Why can't it be brother? Now, if you follow me all the time, it's going to be you. So that's how I got into the music. But his name should be posted somewhere in one of the streets in Frankfurt. He was just a great musician and just loved everybody. Even the whites in this area, even my brother was a great musician. We went up north, might have been Baltimore or somewhere, and they opened up one time for the group Sam and Dave. My brother wrote a song, Miss You Baby, should have been $1 million hit. Only reason it wasn't, they didn't have the business side of what they were doing. But again, just a wonderful person, and I followed him night and day. My mother didn't think I was going to get out of school because I followed my brother around all the time, but I did get through school, but I just admired my brother. And so I just like to plug that in as far as the history of what's going on in Franklin. I felt like my brother should have been a part of history in Franklin. It wasn't pushed. Maybe I should have pushed it, but he was well known in this era for being one of the greatest black musicians in this area here. Everything he hits, they call him music. Now, as far as my family, I just thank God that I had parents that, as far as I can remember, were always in church. Did their thing on the weekend just like everybody else did, but on Sunday they were in church. And I say that because if they had not been in church with no more education in their head, we might have been out in the street. Because they were in church, we've always stayed on the property of the white man. But my parents always respected them, and their statement was always, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And I think that got us through our life with them. And then they taught their children to do the same thing. Now, I've never heard them address my parents, yes, sir, no, sir. They always said, beat and roll. But we didn't have a problem with it because we were being fed. So I thank God for my parents for being those kind of parents that knew what they had to deal with to get them through life. And many of you know my daddy. My daddy didn't play. But my daddy respected that man because he knew he had to raise his he knew he had to raise his kids. So that was one of the highlights of what I'd like to share, looking at my brother and my parents. Three of us actually grew up in the house. My brother was there for a while until he went way up north, but he's always been in the Franklin area. Now, as far as me, I'm just very proud of my parents. And one thing that my parents allowed me to do when I got of age to go to work, they allowed me to work and put my money in my pocket. Many of you have a story that when you got of age, you wouldn't work, but you had to share some of that money with your parents. Nothing wrong with that. I never had to do that. Every dime I made, my parents allowed me to keep it in my pocket. And it taught me some principles. I mean, I owned a couple of cars before I got out of high school. You never get a license, but you didn't have to have that. If you had a wood saw, Brother Jack, you go anywhere you want. I got a saw on the back. That's how things have changed. But the history of me going through all that, during the week, we might come to people a week in Franklin, once a week, but we didn't spend basically no money in Franklin until the weekend. From Friday afternoon until Sunday night, it was on for me in Franklin. Now, I went to school in Creedmoor for 12 years, but I've always called myself, I lived in Franklin. So we worked during the week when we got of age, and we come to Franklin, and we gonna hit the Leggings. That used to be one of the stores there, and I can remember this. I used to do one of the things that the women used to do. Women used to buy those loaves and put the quarters and the dimes and the penny in. The men used to do that back in the day, and nobody didn't look at them as if they were funny. I distinctly remember keeping coins in my, and that was the beautiful. Sometimes I walk like I was running, so I look at those shoes with those pennies in there. That was the highlight of the weekend. Coming downtown, buying some shoes if you worked enough and made some money, because you probably worked more than one week to get those shoes. But loafers was the ingoing thing. And from that, when you got things straightened out at Leggings, or whatever store you in, you went to the movie. I went to the movie every Saturday, because I didn't have to pay most of the time. I snuck up in there. You might not stay long, but I'm gonna go to the movie. And that was just the greatest thing, just to go up there and sit and listen to all that sound. It always amazed me that back during that time, when you went in, y'all probably have told the story since you've been doing this. The wife was on one side, and the blacks went on the other side. And of course I loved it, because while they was taking the white folks' money up, they gave me an opportunity to get upstairs. And sometimes they heard somebody run up there. They come out there with a flashlight. Who was that? It's like 20 of us sitting up there. It's like we're going to tell you who that was that came upstairs. All of us are the same color. But that's what we were. I go to the movie. Didn't stay all the time. I just had to go up there and sit for a while and come down. But that was just a highlight of my life coming up. Love this little small town. I'm really, really excited about what's going on in Franklinton now. We don't have our hands on a lot of it, but I'm still excited about it. I'm still very excited about what's going on in Franklinton. But that's just a portion of what I can remember coming up and looking at this little town like Franklin. My final thing, someone has probably mentioned this. Parkers, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday during the day and at night. Brother Jackson and I would go up to the car wash. We spend sometimes 2 or 3 hours cleaning our cars to go down there and sit in the dirty park. but that's what we did. And we did it consistently, religiously. If we went to Creedmoor, Oxford, Raleigh, I don't care if it was 2:30 in the morning, we come to our Parkers before we go home. It hurts my heart. I keep thinking of stories like Brother Miller. My grandmother passed up in the country. They sent word to us when we was at Parker. Jimmy, your grandmother, they said she's not going to make it. We knew she'd already been sick. Y'all need to come home. We was at Parker, already about 1:30. It was probably about an hour and a half later before we left. And she had passed when we got there. But we did get there. But my parents knew. Final thing I want to say, my parents all never questioned, never put a time limit on how long we were gone. She didn't care when they get home until 5 o'clock in the morning. But one thing we was going to do on Sunday, we're going to church. Now, I got some very good naps in church. I was in church though. Never told me to be home at a certain time. But Sunday morning, and my brother, my daddy, now my mother called me, I'm going to turn on over and going back to sleep. But the Royal Church said, Jimmy, get up. I'm getting up. Mr. Roy didn't play. So, again, for that side of what's going on, I love my parents for that. And for that cause, I really think I'm still here. And again, I love this town. So glad to see business people around like Brother Corey and many other black people, and just like Mr. Mayor. And I thank y'all for this time. Brother Tom, we might have to put you in place to run for the mayor of Franklinton. You got a drawing here, sir. I probably could have got this. But God bless all of you. Thank you. Well, praise the Lord. I'm just coming in. I don't want to tell any of this, but thank God for being here. And work today and try to rush to get here. But I made it.